Come on, listen, man. We are recording.
All right. Welcome to week 9 of the Master Chatter. Got that right? Is it week 9?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
it is. Is it week 9? Yeah, because it's
that was
workout
the
8.
workout.
Workout 8 that Kelly obviously kicked our ass on.
Man, that's crazy. So just a quick round of introductions for everybody. I'll even maybe give introductions for the guys that aren't here, but start with Jen Dieter out of Jacksonville, Florida, 6-time CrossFit Games qualifier, 5-time regional team athlete, and important fact, world record holder for the snatch and total in the women's 45 to 49, 63 kilogram weight class. Pretty impressive there.
See, we're learning new stuff already, Jen.
Yep. And I actually qualified for regionals as an individual twice at the age of 42 and 43, I think, but I went team instead.
Quit bragging.
Yeah.
Well, you won on this show. Brag all you
It was
want.
impressive enough already. You don't need to rub it in. All right, we got Clint Paddock out of Boston, Massachusetts, or the Boston area, probably more appropriately. 4-time CrossFit Games qualifier. Then, of course, our fearless leader, Justin LaSala, out of New Jersey, also 4 times CrossFit Games qualifier. Myself, Bob Jennings, out of San Diego, California, 2-time CrossFit Games qualifier. And our guest this week is Kelly Friel out of the United Kingdom, 3-time CrossFit Games qualifier in the 40 to 44 division, 2nd place in 2018, 2nd place in 2019, and 2nd place in the AGOQ in 2020. Really likes 2nd place. 3-time regional individual athlete in 2013, 2014, and 2018. Possibly joining us later will be Jeb Simmons out of Wisconsin, 3 times CrossFit Games qualifier, and Mike Kern, if he's sober.
Hopefully not.
Right. 3-time CrossFit Games qualifier and competed on the regional teams in 2017. So with that, I will kick it over to Justin.
So, Kelly, we know you, we know who you are, but, for Clint likes to joke, our 4 fans out there, okay, give us the rundown. Give us your little, your CrossFit story.
So I started CrossFit in 2011, October. A friend of mine was opening their box in Southampton and said, come and try it out. I'd never heard of CrossFit before, so I was like, what's it all about? So turned up. I think our first WOD might have been Kelly, I think, from memory. And literally never looked back since. So that was sort of like our little foot in the door. And then I heard about there was a local comp in London that I went to and qualified for. I think it was top 100 in sort of Europe, and went along, and the likelihood of, Andrea Ager, Sam Briggs, Katrin, they were actually there. So it was really early stages in sort of late 2011. And then someone said, oh, why don't you try this open thing that's come out? So I was like, oh, let's give it a go. And then I qualified for regionals in the following year, 2012. But I had it was the year when you had to have minimum work requirements. So one of them was 3 ring muscle ups, I think. And yeah, I bailed out on day 1, which was a bit of a shame because the other events after that, I was like, oh man, I would have loved those. It's a heavy, I think it was a heavy dumbbell overhead or some weighted stuff, but it was just a shame. But it was great to be there for the experience, to think, oh, okay, I want to come back next year and try again. So that was my sort of start journey into CrossFit as such, but a bit late in the age, 34.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're all in the same boat as far as that. Obviously, when we got turned on to CrossFit, Bob, I don't know when you started, and Clint or Jen exactly when you guys got going, but for me, it was right around that 2011 Okay. I did my first open in 12, you know, so we're all, feel like we kind of started late, all right. But with that said, you still did really well, I mean, you made it to regionals the second year of actually really competing, did you have a big sports background before CrossFit? Like, what was the story kind of before?
Not really, and that's what Jen and that asked, wasn't it? The first year at the games, they were like, "Where have you come from?"
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there going, and not really. I've always been sporty as a child, like at school. Like I played hockey, I did some swimming, I did some windsurfing. So I was sort of part of small in our, like what we call our middle school, so under sort of 16s, and then going to seniors. There wasn't, I was never ever part of like a professional, I didn't have a professional sport background or anything like that. Had four brothers, so everything was over here, like football, soccer, for them, but nothing. I was just more of a gym person. I just went to the gym, ticked through like you do on the runner and stuff. And we had this sort of like thing called cross training, where they would set up like 10 stations in a gym. So it could be press ups, 100-meter run, a row, some sit ups, and it would be like the fastest person to go down that course. And we did that for sort of like 3 years, I think. But there was nowhere to go because it was the same course every year. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't anything new coming in like there is in CrossFit.
Right. So it kind of had a feel for some of the exercises, and the flow, but it was never changing. It was like kind of like the same thing. It's always interesting to me because, I don't know anything about like the UK as far as like you go to high school and then like for here in the States, people go to college or what you would say university, but for us, like for me, I played college football and there were like a lot of sports being played. What are the universities like in the UK? Is it the same thing and we just don't hear about it? Because in the States, we have the basketball tournament, the NCAA, which is huge, and the football, and what's going on in UK over there?
When we come over to America and we look at just right in Madison, when we were sort of just driving down through the parks, and we were like, oh my God, look at the size of like just your like not baseball stadiums. To us, it looks like a stadium because it's big, but the field and everything's so much bigger in the States. In a couple of the universities here, there are a few that are like sports, like when you go to Bath University, that's very sport orientated. So they have a big pool, they have big courts, do you know what I mean? A running track, but nothing compared to what you guys have got. So when I look at yours, I'm like, oh.
Right. So pretty much you go to school to learn instead of like, try to be a football player or try to be a basketball player.
Yeah.
Like we do in the States, Bob brought something up that's interesting, for me at least. Does second place like burn at you to be like, like, what do I got to do to get over the hump? Because it happened to me last year, and, it burns at me, so I was wondering, how it kind of feels for you.
Not really. I think the first year, I was just really pleased to be at the game. My goal was to get to the games. And I went to Jeb's box before. I didn't know Jeb. I dropped him a message and was like, I'm staying in your area. He was like, yeah, come on in. So I sort of spent the week before at the games with him. And he sort of said, oh, I don't know who you are, but can I give you one sort of form of advice? And I was like, yeah, happy for anything. He said, just go and enjoy every minute. He said, I was there the previous year. He said, and I got through sort of day one and day two. He said, and it wasn't until I was on my third day and I was like, I shit, this is all going to be over. And I haven't like soaked it all up type thing. He said, you know, just in case you never make it back, just go and enjoy. And that's one thing that has stuck in my head since I met Jeb, was like, I've just got to go and enjoy. And it wasn't until the final day of the first year, and everyone was like, you know, your phone's going off, because everyone's like, man, have you seen what place you're in? And I'm like, no, I haven't really looked at the leaderboard, and I didn't have my coach or anything with me. It was just my husband in the back with me. And so it was a bit like, you know, we were a bit like, well, what do we do now? And so the first year, no, I was just over the moon. I didn't expect to get podium or anything. So that came with a big shock. But I think I went into the final. I mean, Jen, you might remember. I think I went into the final in first. But when they announced the WOD, I was like, it's not for me, because
What
it's all
was it?
gymnastic. It was the pull-ups.
Bar muscle ups, did it?
That's it.
Oh yeah, it went pull
bar
up,
muscle
chest to
ups?
bar muscle up.
And
Yeah.
then do we have thrusters in it as well? I think
Yeah, it was like a Fran. It
Yeah.
was a modified Fran.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It was 21. It was like 777, and then
Yes.
15 was 555, and the last
Yeah.
one was 333.
Right.
And I was just like, this isn't for me. So the following, like this year, or last year, should I say, when I went back, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to enjoy again. I didn't expect to get back for a second time to the games. And then after a couple of events, I was like, oh man, maybe I could podium again. And I loved the ruck run. That was like one of my favorite events.
That was
I don't
Bob's
know why.
favorite too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the final got announced again, and it was gymnastics again.
Yeah.
So it sort of burns, but then I'm like, I was just happy again to make second.
Right.
But then to finish second in the qualifiers this year, I was like, man, I've got to go for gold this year. But obviously, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Well, it'll happen in Legends, though, right?
Yeah.
We can get the gold there. And I wanted to say, if you think it burns coming in second, try coming in ninth. Like,
Yeah.
it's really a blow to the ego. So I
Yeah,
don't
because
feel
you didn't
too
come in
bad.
last.
What's that?
You didn't come in last.
Only because Bruce got injured. So
I set the bar at not coming in last.
yeah, right.
Like what burns for me is my first year there. I missed third place by 2 points.
Oh,
That was 4 years ago. It was 4 years ago, and I can still remember the guy passing me on the run on the way in, and there was nothing I could do. Like that's just the 2 points I needed. Because every event was the same way. So that's even worse.
Yeah.
2 points.
I got one for you guys. 3 years ago, I think, I was in first place for the first and second day, and then finished fifth. So,
What were the
Yeah, I
workouts that
complete-
ruined you, Jen?
well, the last day there was some kind of run. I'm a terrible runner, so there was some kind of run. I don't even remember if that was the 1 mile year or what. I forget. If it doesn't have a swim with it, then I'm usually in pretty bad shape. If it has a swim in it, then I can usually hold my own. Just running, not so much. But then I think I hit like a full-on bonk. You know how like cyclists talk about bonking or whatever. We had the rope climb. It was like 6 rope climbs and something, and then we had a little break, and then we had to do we had to do Diane, and then we had a 2-minute break, and then we had to do 6 rope climbs and 30 thrusters at 80 pounds. And I almost failed on a rope climb to where I was like holding on for dear life. And then I actually failed on 80-pound thrusters. So I just by the end of, I think it was a 4-day thing that year. And it was just, my body just like shut down right in front of everybody. It was bad. I got last place. And that's when the field was 20.
Yeah, Perovich did that too. He had a commanding lead against Ramirez the last year Ramirez won it. And he went into the last day, and Sean just won like every event. and he took like 5th and 8th and something. He fell right apart.
Yeah, I think even on it was like Diane or something. He might have come in like close to last.
Yeah, he didn't get like the handstands. And he's a taller guy too, but still.
Yeah. Hey, Kelly, what do you think about the programming at the games, 2017, 2018 versus 2019?
I think.
Or no,
So,
wait, you were
2018,
2019, sorry. Yeah,
yeah,
20
so
versus
2019 to 20.
Right.
So the difference was there was a field of 20 as opposed to 10
Mm-hmm.
this year. Me personally, I think it was a lot better with 20. And I just think from sort of a spectator point of view, but also from an athlete point of view, that I don't know, it just felt different, even sort of in the warm-up area. But I think also when you've got 20 athletes on the field, there's a lot more people that can slot in. When there's only 10 of you, if I don't know, just say you've got 5 that are really good gymnasts and 5 that are good at endurance, you'll never get, there's not much slot. So I found this year that because I think we had 2 people injured, which was Steph and Karen. So I think they both pulled out. So I think we ended up with 8 athletes.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so
You
there
guys
wasn't.
did, yeah.
For
So
how
there
many
wasn't-
So the last workout, the last workout was a 3-scored workout. So you only have 8 people in your field at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
So
Yeah.
if you think Steph went out on the run, which was day 2?
2.
That was day 1. That was the last event of day 1.
Yes, it was.
Oh,
So-
shit, you're right. It was last day of event.
And I think Karen went out on day 1 as well, because we didn't see her again until sort of like the 3rd day, as Steph come in and obviously said that she wouldn't be competing because of her ankle and stuff. So yeah, we were down to 8 people straight away. And I think over the course of the weekend, that just made everything so much harder. The programming, some of it I found was quite similar, sort of like I said, the final, when they announced the final in 2019, I was sat there thinking, please don't be similar to last year. And it was. I did like the difference that they had the big chipper out on the big north field, because we didn't have that the year before, and the run outside. I think that was really nice, because you just got a feel of, rather being cooped up in sort of the Dark Masters sort of pavilion, you were outside. But I was gutted they didn't have a swim. And I think Jen said that as well.
Yeah, I wish they had a swim. Yeah.
Clint was
Yes.
really upset about
That always helps me with the endurance stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
Clint was
Sorry,
devastated there wasn't a swim. So
yeah.
What's that?
I said Clint was devastated there wasn't a swim.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, Kelly, I'm sorry, we talk about that a lot, last year was a year of just like so much kind of craziness, from like no coverage and not even just for the Masters. I mean, there wasn't really anybody even covering the main events, from like a network standpoint. Like at least back in the day, they had ESPN, and then they had CBS. I think CBS was our first year. Well, my first year in 17, right, Clint? They were on CBS in 17, right?
Yeah, because it was like some obscure CBS. Because I don't think you get it.
Right. But they were still.
It was
Yeah,
like
still
streaming. It was like a streaming version of CBS.
Yeah. So they had
Yeah,
something,
right.
and I think.
We could watch that from the UK in 2017.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there, and then last year, they cut the field, and in all fairness, they expanded the field in the individuals, but they cut them really quick a day or two afterwards. So just overall feel, like that you kind of felt like. I mean, we talk about the programming, how it was much different. We felt like no one really cared so much. The workouts were kind of just thrown out there, in a sense, and the overall differences from, hey, not having any people watching, the environment being cut into like 10, like you said, was just a weird kind of deal. Do you feel like the Masters kind of got a little, and the teenagers kind of got the shaft last year with everything?
Yeah, it was a really weird feeling because even with the individuals, like you said, even though they had the national champs, didn't they? They were cut so early on. So I felt in the warm-up area, I don't know if you felt like this, Jen and Justin, that it was so quiet. Like day 2, there was no one around. And I was just like, where is everyone? And it's like, oh, well, they've all been cut. So why would they sort of hang around? And I do feel like there were some times that you would ask about, I think the ruck run was the biggest because we were all supposed to go out together, so male and female. And then they were like, because we had a guy from the UK, so I was like, oh, Rich, I'm running with you. And he was like, yeah, brilliant. And then literally like 10 minutes before, it was like, no, the girls aren't running, the guys are running. So we're like, oh, what? So we've not warmed up because you didn't really warm up, but we were like hanging around because I think the individuals had all gone together and it was a bit of a craziness of who was picking up which weight to go in their bags. So from what I gathered from someone else is that they said that's why they split the guys and the girls, because otherwise it would have been like way too confusing. But it was like a last minute thought.
Yeah, we kind of had the same impression, and we've talked about that a little bit as well, where it felt like the programming and the coordination around the Masters was very last minute and haphazard, right? Like they didn't, it almost felt like even the last day, right, where we just had the 3 events all kind of bundled into one. It almost seemed like, oh shit, we forgot to program the last day for the Masters. What are we going to do? Quick, right? And let's just throw these guys out there.
Or in the same sense, Bob, it was kind of like, look, let's give them 3 workouts and be done with it. You know, like it kind of felt like, here's a workout. You're going to get 3 scores. Have a great weekend, Yeah.
I thought they were going to chuck us like a surprise what. I thought they were going to go, there's your 3. Actually, you've got another one.
Yeah.
And then when they were like, no, that's it. It was like, oh, okay. That's us done.
Yeah.
What's up, Jeb?
Hey, Jeb.
What's up, guys? Sorry I'm late. Just had to push my truck 2 miles by myself.
Did you really?
No. I had to wait for my brother to come with a tow scrap. So, but it's home. Now I got to figure out what's wrong with it.
Jeb, Kelly was telling us about some quality information you gave her when she came out to your gym when she first made it to Madison. Why don't you talk about that experience you had with her? She called up and found out, that she wanted to stop by your gym and tell us that story.
Yeah, I mean, anytime for me, like anytime I get a like any age group qualifier for the games, Masters or teens, like I don't know, I personally get excited about it because I think the regular individuals, they get a lot of attention and they pretty much get to go anywhere. So the first year the games were here, we had some kids from Israel, which was interesting, like 4 or 5 kids. And then, and then Kelly reached out and said they were coming. And obviously being from, another country, we were all excited just to open our doors to whoever, we could. And I don't know, it was crazy. Like no offense to Kelly, but I had no idea how good she was. And
that's what I said.
What?
That's what I said. I said, when you gave me your great bit of advice, you were like, I have no idea who you are, or,
Yeah, I mean, so it, and then, I mean, she turned out to crush everything. And I don't know, since then, like we've just stayed in touch. Any piece of advice I've given is just stuff that I've heard from, other people that have given me advice and things I've learned along the way, and I just try to share it with whoever I can, you know. But yeah, now we just stayed in touch. I know a guy that works for me, Nash, was out in Germany, and he came out and visited Kelly. What was it, last year or 6 months ago? You know, and he was just telling me he's super excited that you're on tonight, and he was just telling me how awesome it was to go see you, and you know, it was something that I actually want to do at some point, you know, go overseas, but and it's kind of crazy because I never thought in my lifetime I'd be able to go anywhere besides in the US, you know. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, when she comes, she brings the whole family. It's awesome to have her, and like I said, she fucking kills it when she's here. So it's fun to watch.
Jeb, she said that you told her to enjoy it, which is you know, I mean, look, I think that's easily lost. You know, for me last year, I was making a run at it. You know, so I asked her, you know, does it sting to take second? Because for me, it stings. You know, it wasn't my first time there. Actually, I enjoyed my second time there more because Neil was there. You know, I mean, like you knew who was gonna kind of be all sorted out
Right.
and stuff. And
Right.
you know, it was a year that I was at the end of the bracket. I mean, I was happy to make it at my age. You know, being at the last year of my bracket, so to speak. But I think that's a great point. You know, because it does easily get lost that you know, we work so hard to get to the games, and then you get there and you're like, sucked, you know, like, you know, Bob was saying, he's like, I took ninth, you know, and it sucked, you know, and it stung to take ninth, but you made it, Bob, you know, like
Right.
how many years did you go through not making it, you know, for whatever reason, you know, and then finally getting the opportunity to be there.
No, yeah, I'd agree with that, right? I mean, and that bit of advice I think applies no matter what level that you're competing at, right? Is to make sure that you enjoy it while you're there, especially as a master, right? I mean, you know, the prize money isn't enough for us to, you know, for it to change our lives substantially, right? There's not really a lot of fame associated with it. There's nothing that's going to measurably alter your life necessarily by, you know, winning the CrossFit Games as a master for the most part. And so, like, even though I performed like crap last year, like I still have very vivid memories of stepping onto that mat for the first time and the announcer saying 10 seconds athletes, and like just having this overwhelming feeling of happiness, right? Like it was like, yeah, fuck, I made it. This is awesome. And then we did a row and, you know, 30 bar facing burpees, and that was really stupid. But other than that, it was fantastic, you know? And then even throughout the course of the weekend, like, you know, I had my ups and downs, and my coach was pretty funny. You know, at the end of day one, he gave me the best bit of advice I ever could have gotten, which was, you know, stop coming in last, which was, right? You know, he was kind of exasperated at that point too. But, you know, I'll never forget going. And I'll never forget that feeling of being out on the floor, competing with everybody. And I think that no matter what level of master athlete you are, you should kind of savor that, right? You know, make sure you take a couple of seconds before that first event to appreciate what you're doing, which is what, you know, 99.99% of people can't do, right? So.
Clint, let me ask you real quick. Do you enjoy it? Because I know you, you know, and you know, I hear the stories. You know, I remember you telling me a couple years ago, like, I just want to go fucking home. You know, like it was like end of day 2, and you were done with it. You know,
Yeah,
do you enjoy it?
I do, but I think the more joy for me is just to make it. Like once I make it, I go, all right, I've kind of solidified that I'm as good as I think I am. So then when I go, you know, it's 2018. I just think I overtrained, and but I think by that Saturday, I'm like, dude, I've had enough. That's because I remember saying it to Bill. I'm like, I've had enough. It's just too, like, I just felt like I got so abused. It was just so many workouts. So last year I enjoyed it because it was a lot less workouts and I didn't have to swim. So I didn't have that angst of, something shitty to look forward to. So last year, I think I had fun. My first year I had fun because, I knew that last day I'm like, I could finish third. So, you always had something to look forward to. And, and just 2018 just did not go like I wanted it to. And it just, that sucked. But I mean, overall, yeah, I enjoy it.
Jeb, you were gonna say something. What was it?
Yeah, so the reason that whole thing started, like I think there's a little difference between just like having fun and enjoying the weekend. Like, so Scotty Panchik did, he came to my gym and he trained with me a couple times before I went to the games the first time, and he was the one that was like, he kept telling me, he's like, hey, just make sure you enjoy the weekend, and you're like, yeah, And he's like, no, like, seriously, like, you have to, it's going to fly by, and before you know it, it's going to be all over. Like, you've done all this training and all this preparation to get there, and it's gone like that. And I remember the first year, like, we did the first day, the second day, I remember waking up Saturday thinking, like, holy shit, it's already halfway over. And I wasn't really sure if I was enjoying, the entire experience of what I was actually able to go, like Bob said, like we're, 0.001% or whatever of how many people get to do this, and Bob, you may have taken ninth, but at the end of the day, that was ninth in the world. You know what I mean? And that's the thing I think a lot of us tend to overlook. Like, yeah, you always want to do better and compete, and I always want to win. But the first year I was there, fourth in the world, like, and then the second year, 10th in the world. You know what I mean? And it's nothing to hang your head about. At the end of the day, just making it there. It used to be 20 in the world, and now it's 10. But it's like, that's a fucking accomplishment, and that's where, Scotty Panchik, who's been there so many times, and Ron Ortiz, that I talked to those guys, and like, just make sure at one point, like, just kick back and just enjoy everything you get to experience, and if you can have fun on top of that, like, I mean, I go there and if you get the right workouts and everything, you're feeling healthy, you're feeling good, you get the right workouts, and you're crushing everything. Actually, you're going to have more fun. I had more fun my first year than I did my second year. I wasn't feeling the best, but I still enjoyed the experience of going my second time. You know what I mean? And that's what those guys always told me, to make sure you do that, and at the end of the day, Ron Ortiz, when I was talking to him at the games in, I don't know, 18 or whatever, he was like, tell me who won, and Bob would know this because Bob, but he's like, tell me who won 50 to 54 guys last year. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, tell me who won, 35 to 39 guys last year. He's like, exactly. No one fucking remembers that. You do, right? Like, you do if you won it or you were there and you're on the podium, but no one else does.
Yeah.
No offense, but it's like, Justin, you crushed it last year, and how many people actually know that?
No one.
Exactly.
I don't even hang up my medal because it's second, at my gym, I don't put the medal up,
But people know. But people know that you've gone, right?
Right.
And that's all they want. They know you've been there. They, they have no idea how good you really are or how much it really takes.
What's really cool, and I hate giving Justin compliments, but I'm gonna anyway. So what's really cool about his gym, so you go in there and his medal isn't hanging up, but what he does have hanging up is he bought this it was a 10-pound Rogue plate from the games, and we all signed it, and he has that hanging up, right, which kind of commemorates the experience and not so much Justin, right?
Yeah.
No, thank you, Bob. I appreciate the compliment.
Don't worry, I remind him he came in second all the time.
Yeah, for sure. Clint definitely takes the opportunity, and what bothers me in a little bit of a way too. So that's part of the fun as well. Which I enjoy it too because that's how I am. Kelly, you did Dubai, the online challenge, workout 1, right?
Yes.
How many reps did you do? Bob, somebody told me, but I forgot.
He did 121.
130.
Oh.
130.
How many
Jesus.
did you do,
man.
Justin?
I did 111 actually.
How
But
does that one?
did you? Huh?
How does that 130 stack up against the individual women?
Yeah. First,
Fifth, maybe.
fifth.
Wow.
I think.
She's underselling herself a little bit. She did 132.
Okay. What place was that, Bob?
It was first in her age group. Well, in the Masters. I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
about the individuals, but
Yeah, we're talking masters. We don't care about the individuals, Kelly.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about those guys and girls.
But did you just say, Kelly, that it was fifth in amongst all women?
Yes.
Fifth, all women. That's extremely awesome.
I think,
Yeah.
fifth or sixth, I think, something around there.
Yeah.
So do you
Stupid
like-
workout. 10 minutes of devil's press opinions, please.
Boring.
Boring. We all said the same thing. Stupid. This week is stupider.
This week looks.
15 minutes of jump up and step down and single arm thruster ladder. Come on.
Any top tips?
No, I haven't done it yet. I'll do it on Wednesday, actually. I'll torture myself Wednesday. Speaking of torture, we always talk about the workout that we did, and correct me if I'm wrong, you did it today and you did Murph.
Yes.
What was your Murph time?
39:01, I think.
Okay. And you did it, and then what did you do first, Murph or the check?
Yeah, Murph first.
So you did Murph first, and then you did, how many burpees did you do on the clean ladder? The clean and burpees?
That was yesterday. Did I
50,
say, was
53.
it 53? Yeah.
53. That's insanity, right?
It was horrid.
That's what I was gonna say. Awful, right?
I saw Mike's post yesterday that said he went hot out on the first round, and I think he got, was it 10?
Yeah.
And then on one of the rounds he got, was it 0 or 1?
You got 0, yeah.
You can't really
zero
judge
on
off the
one
mic though, because he was probably drinking while he was doing it. You never know with him.
So I thought, oh, okay, I'll remember that. So I did the first round, and I went unbroken, and I put it down, and because I was doing the timing on my watch, I got to 10 burpees, and I was like, oh, I think I've gone too fast. And I looked at my watch, and I was like, oh no, I can still keep going. So I think the first round I got 14 burpees, but the next round I was like, I need to slow down because I could end up doing 1 by the last round. But it was horrid.
Do you think or how do you feel right now? I mean, are you dead or not a big deal?
No, the legs are a little bit sore.
All right, because I think there are some athletes that just handle volume better. All right. I think we're all different. Some people are good at fast workouts and short or gymnastics and strength, but some athletes can just do pretty well volume wise. I think if you make it to the games, obviously, and you perform, well in the AGOQ, because that's, I guess, the best online test you can kind of do. But we did a lot of workouts, 6 workouts in 5 days. You got to be able to handle the volume. What's that, Jen?
4 really. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, true. Exactly.
I guess some people might do them Thursday night, but depending on your time
Right.
zone, I guess.
That's
What
true.
time do you usually get them?
I get them at 8 p.m. at night.
8 p.m. What about you, Jen?
It's same 8.
Same.
Yeah, I get them at 5 my time.
Oh wow.
When do you get them, Kelly?
Like 1 o'clock in the morning
On what
okay.
day?
on the Friday. So Friday.
Yeah.
So we wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning so we
Gotcha.
sort of get Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Can
And
you
then
sleep that
Monday.
night?
Do I?
Yeah, can you get any sleep? I would be up checking my phone at 12:59.
The first year, I think I stayed up and sort of watched and especially for the Open, when they did the live
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of staying up, and I was like, I'm not doing that again because it destroyed me. Because then you know what it is, so you're laid in bed going, oh, how can I attack that? Oh, how could I do that? So then my mind's playing worse than if I didn't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I made sure last year, no, just wake up in the morning and see what it is.
Yeah, I mean, even getting him at 5 at night, like I think I tried doing the clean and jerk on that first Thursday, and I was garbage, like total garbage, like, and to the point where I was throwing my belt because I was so angry because I couldn't even I couldn't like squat clean like within 30 pounds of my power, like it was just terrible, you know. And but I'm with you, like, so when those workouts come out, like I'll sit there and I'll go through every one in my head. That first night I can't sleep at all. I can't even imagine, you know, getting the workouts at 1 o'clock in the morning. I would get no sleep at all.
Yeah.
I would be virtually, you know, trying to complete them in my head.
Did we ask Bob if he enjoys this?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Did it last year.
Yeah, you know, I'm a masochist, I guess, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think we all are on some level.
Yeah.
Right.
Kelly, how is everything by you? You know, like what's the situation like? I mean, again, I know you from the athlete standpoint. Do you run a gym? You own a gym? You know, like what's the situation, and what's the situation with that gym that you have currently?
So yeah, I own CrossFit Southampton, and we've been shut now for 9 weeks. So complete shutdown. So basically they said all gyms to be shut. And as of last week, up till last week, we were only allowed outside within your family that you live with to do one form of exercise per day.
Wow.
So
What does that even mean? One
Yeah,
form of exercise per day.
So for us, we were running up and down the road, and I was thinking, oh, a neighbour's going to go, you've been up here 10 times. I think it was more like if you went to a park, and let's say I was there for an hour, and then I came home, and then I went back again, then that would be classed as 2 forms of exercise. So they said you were allowed out once. So I could go outside running with my daughter, which was fine. But you weren't allowed, and you had to keep 2 meters distance from everyone. So sort of like supermarkets, they were only allowing 1 person in. They sort of still are. So if I went with my husband, they would say only 1 of you to go into food shop. And as of last week, they said we can now meet 1 other person outside to do a form of exercise. And it's unlimited exercise now. So they haven't said just 1 a day, but still no gyms are open. PTs can PT in an outside space, but not in your box or in a gym. It has to be, and again, it has to be 2 meters apart. It has to be all the hand washing. So you couldn't, let's say if I PT'd someone and an hour later I had someone come in, you have to make sure that you can still clean all the equipment and everything down before that next person comes in.
When do you think any of that's going to change for you guys? You know, or is there any? You don't
Well,
know?
there was talks on the 4th of July.
Wow.
So at least another month. Schools are still shut, but there are talks that they're going to introduce a certain year back to school in a couple of weeks. The schools have only been open for key workers, but apart from that, so we've been like homeschooling and everything. All our members were doing Zoom classes, trying to keep there as much interaction as possible, and they've been amazing. So really, really supportive.
What about, did you receive any government assistance? There were programs here in the States where, you know, gym owners could apply for
Yeah, so the same as us, yeah, we could apply for a loan to sort of just help cover, sorry, not a loan, a grant,
Yeah.
where it would help cover costs while we're down, because you can ask your landlord who you pay the rent to, but they were like, no, we still want our money.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
So, can you personally go into your gym or no?
I could, but I co-own it with someone else. So we came to an agreement that let's just train from home.
Yeah.
But for me, it's about a 30-minute drive. So if I could bring quite a lot of my kit home, we've just been really lucky that the weather's been really sunny. So we've been in the garden, destroyed the patio from dropping the weights. But we brought everything home. So the only thing really I haven't got is things like rings and stuff like that. So it's a bit frustrating, but we sort of said until the government give us new guidelines, that we maybe can start introducing, then we've lent all our equipment out, so there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, go ahead, Bob.
When you say PT, you're saying personal training, right?
Yeah.
Physical therapy. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Kelly, how old are your kids?
So Erin is now 15 and Imogen's 13.
Okay. And what are they doing for homeschool? Do the schools there have online or Zoom classes, or are you just all on your own teaching them?
So what they do is send through homework daily, and it comes through, and then they just crack on and do it. They haven't got any live. However, they've got school holidays this week. The following week, the eldest, she's going to have 3 hours of online stuff. The only difficult with that is they have like a different teacher for each subject. So to get them all on certain Zoom calls at certain times is just so difficult. I don't know how that compares to you, Jen, with yours.
Yeah, mine are 13, 16, and 18. And so I have a daughter, my oldest just graduated, and they actually did an actual graduation on Saturday for her.
Oh, wow.
But they wound up having Zoom classes for all classes. So they had to log in, and they were just like this, taking class with the teacher and all that kind of stuff. Even my little middle schooler has PE still as a middle schooler. So he would be set up in the garage, in our little garage gym, and he had to do the full workout with the coach or the PE teacher watching and all that kind of stuff, which was kind of interesting. But so they were, I feel like I was very fortunate because they were held very accountable for all the classes and everything. So it made it, it was pretty nice. It was pretty nice. And then just the fact that we got actual high school graduation for my daughter was nice. I mean, but Florida's opening up a lot compared to some other places. So like our restaurants are open 50%, gyms are open 50%.
You went to 50, Jen?
Yes.
It's at 50, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did Murph at the gym today. And like I said, my daughter's graduation, they had like a box that was like probably 20 feet by 10 feet on a big, huge field that they use for lacrosse and football and stuff like that. Each family got 4 seats basically. And so you had 4 chairs in this big 20-foot by 10-foot box. And they did that for all the families. And then each student, I didn't see their boxes up close. They were probably, 10 foot by 8 foot or something like that. And each student was in one of those boxes, and they did a graduation, no shaking hands, nothing like that. The kid grabbed their own diploma, but they still walked up on stage and then exited and all that kind of stuff. And I think it made it nice for the kids to have that experience.
Nice.
Kelly, I have a question off of all this. How are the people around you handling being stuck in their house? Because I don't know where you live and what kind of like the spacing is between houses and whatnot, but it seems like you got like a pretty tight lockdown over there, like 1 hour to go outside. Like, I know that's changed too, but Like, what's the demeanor like out there? Because I mean, you obviously hear what's going on here in the States. You know, people are rebelling.
Yeah, so the first few weeks, it was really, really quiet. So, like, if you went to the shop, there wasn't really any cars on the road. And the supermarkets had it right, you know, with like 2 meters apart and the way you went in. We went out for a bike ride on Sunday and last Sunday, and the difference between, it's bank holiday, I appreciate that, but the difference between the 2 weekends, oh God, people aren't taking note.
Right.
They're like, I was in the park going, are they really all from the same family unit? You know, full on barbecue, 15 people. So, like you said, a few people are rebelling, I think, against it, and this sort of weekend showed. So, I'm just you just don't want it to go full circle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, in my area, you know, I mean, we kind of know, obviously, Jen, they have a totally different situation, and Jeb is probably in maybe like the first stage of the reopening phase. I would probably safe to say, we're not open yet. All right, I think you're in the same boat with me, Clint, in the sense that it looks like it's right around the corner. This weekend is like a huge weekend for a lot of states, I think, because I think by next week, they're going to be like, okay, because no one's really social distancing anymore. I mean, I'm talking from New Jersey standpoint. I mean, the shores, people were down the shores and on the boardwalk, and neighbors here are having barbecues and the whole bit. So it's going to be interesting what next weekend looks like. Are people getting sick? Are the numbers going up? Or are they staying the same, or are they going down? Because it looks like we're going to be hopefully opening, I'd like to say, you know, by like June 15th, maybe a little bit later, you know. So it is interesting to kind of, I mean, was Britain really hit hard like the New York was? Because I mean, I'm close to New York, he's close to Boston. Was it hit hard?
I think New York was obviously the big one. I think they were expecting London to be hit more because everyone is so in close proximity like New York. They did set up quite a few emergency hospitals. So, you know, Strength in Depth that took part in as one of the sanctioned events.
Right.
Yeah.
Where that was held, they transformed that into a temporary hospital, which was really spooky to see it on the news, thinking like 6 months ago, it was full of really fit athletes and it was buzzing. So then 6 months later, it's just this hospital. So, but apparently it never, there was a couple of hospitals that got set up that weren't used, which was a positive thing because then obviously it meant that it didn't peak as much as maybe they thought it was going to be. So yeah, I think like you said, New York was the big one.
So to give you guys like point of reference, so 261,000 cases in the UK, and most 150,000 of those 261 were in England. So so that's you know, it's like 2/3 of New York. It's basically like New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Cases.
Jeb, how's it been?
Good. So we opened this week. We held classes to 12 people, even though our new guidelines said we could actually hold more. But I just wanted to make sure, because we have such extremes at the gym. Some people were emailing us like, this is all bullshit, open the doors, let us go. And then we had some people that are super concerned, you know, asking us not to open. So we just kind of picked in the middle what we thought. So we opened the doors. We gave an extra 15 minutes in between class times. I put tape on the floor with an X for you to stand in. So we had 12 people per class. And it actually went really, really good. Kind of like we talked about last week, like everybody was just happy to be back in the gym, right? You know, we made sure the programming, you know, we took into consideration that we haven't been in the gym and that everybody's going to be excited. Gave a little extra time to do some cleaning and talking, because a lot of people just want to come in and hang out. Yeah, it went really good. Today, we actually met at the middle school track to do Murph. I had a class at 7 o'clock. I had about 12 people there. And because we were outside, we opened the 9 o'clock class up to 20. And then we just spread everybody way out. And I was a little curious to see how the neighborhood around the school was going to react, just seeing that many people, but no one said anything, and there was people walking by on the outside of the fence and stuff. So it went really, really good. Next week, we're going to open it up to 14 people per class. It still gives, so basically what the guidelines that we were sent, it's 4 people per 1,000 square feet, and my gym's about 6,000 square feet, so we can do a lot more. But it really actually opened my eyes to, we had a lot of members. We lost a lot, but we had a lot. And there was classes that I would have to have 2 or 3 coaches at, because we would have 35 to 38 people in at a time. And it was insane before we shut down, right? And a lot of it was like 5 a.m. class, because people are like, if I can't, I got to get this in before I go to work, you know? And I tried to limit the class, and that didn't work, because people would just show up. So then I had to start bringing more coaches in. So some hours I'd have 2 or 3 coaches in there. And I tell you what, like, cutting the classes down to where they're at, just, it makes the entire CrossFit experience, from the member standpoint, from the coaching standpoint, like, just way, way better. And those days of having 30 plus people in a class, I won't go back to. I can tell you that.
Right. You know, it's always an interesting question. I've had that, you know, with all my experience with it as well. You know, we were doing 15 per class before everything happened. And I'm hopeful that we can get, you know, the situation that you have as far as every 4, because that would even be, you know, more than I normally do. We could do up to 20, you
Right.
know. Jen, it's pretty much, you know, back to normal for you down there, right, in Florida?
I mean, it feels like it in some ways, not completely, because it's, you know, the 50% thing.
So what does
But,
that
like,
mean for you guys? What
well,
does
for
50% even mean?
at our gym, it's 50% of what the fire marshal allows. So it's like more people than we've ever had in a
Like
class
80
anyway.
people probably.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really not limiting in that sense. But you know, otherwise in the world, I would say, I mean, it was interesting with the whole graduation thing, because, you know, the school, I think, did the right thing by making, like, they had spaces on the sidewalk and kind of meandering around the school that the kids were supposed to stand on. And of course, they're high school seniors, so they didn't. But they all had matching masks, and, you know, the school, I think, did the right thing. And through the whole ceremony, everybody was spread out. And then afterwards, it was like all the kids with group pictures. So it just kind of went back to, you know, I mean, I think everyone's going to forget very quickly, because, I mean, I have a picture of my daughter and 10 of her closest friends, you know, and they're all hugging and stuff like this. And it honestly didn't bother me. I didn't, you know, I mean, it's sort of like, I guess I'm to the point where it is what it is. We're being careful. I mean, like, I was talking to a friend of mine after we did Murph today, and, or I did a modified version because of my hip, but, you know, she was like, all right, I've been touching things and high-fiving people, and it's time to wash my hands carefully. You know, so I think people are being cautiously optimistic, but then also just, you know, careful. So, like, at our gym, the way that they set it up was everybody had to pick a pull-up bar, you know, and there's enough space. Like, I just went outside, but so everybody picked up a pull-up bar and then a spot to do their push-ups and a spot to do their squats. And they kind of, I mean, it's an easy workout to stay away from other people, really, you know, so we all just kind of stayed in our lane essentially, for that. And then mopped it all up, wiped it all down with bleach. You know, that's what we're doing after every class and whatnot. still out in the world, the stores are, I would say people are wearing less masks in places like regular grocery stores, but like Costco is asking you to wear a mask. Like professionally as a PT, we started taking patients' temperatures this past week or 2 weeks ago, and everybody's wearing masks. So I feel like professionally in a physical therapy setting, we're getting a little bit more conservative because as the CDC has changed their guidelines on what we have to do, we're kind of changing it. So there's people like my daughter who, is a little bit less concerned about social distancing as every day goes on. And then, my job, I'm like, oh, I got to mask up for every patient now. I got to take every patient's temperature before they walk in, where we weren't doing that 2 weeks ago. So I don't know. It's back and forth.
Hey Jen, so my biggest thing this week was just making sure everybody was mindful and respectful of other people, right? Like, when they come in, so when they walk in the door, I'm like, find an X to stand on. So they take their bag, everything, they go find an X, they stand on it. So they have a square and everything's in there. And then we excuse them it's literally like in elementary school. I'm like, all right, this row of 3 people, you guys go get your barbells. This row of 3 people, you go get your bumper plates. And, so that's how we did it. The biggest thing that I was kind of just worried about was like, there's some people, like I said, that don't care. So I had a certain individual that came in and they were like giving hugs to people and stuff like that. And I'm like, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't want to be that one company in town who ends up with something just because I have a certain person that wants to go, like, doesn't believe in any of this, and he wants to give hugs and this and that. And so
Right.
I pulled him aside and like, you gotta chill
it's
out.
Yeah, I think it's tricky. And again, I'm not an owner, I'm just there a lot, but
Right.
like the owner today, because I think people are going to just forget fast because I was in the back warming up, but as the owner came by, he was saying to everybody, make sure if you touch the pull-up bar to warm your shoulders up, you wipe it down, because that might not be your pull-up bar for the workout, and we were laughing about it, or not, not laughing, but he was just like, oh my gosh, like people are just forgetting. They can't just jump up onto a pull-up bar and like do a few pull-ups to warm up. Like they have to wait until they're told which one to go to, or until he says, everybody stand near one. Let's see, do I have to step in and say, no, you can't go to that one, you go to that one, or, that sort of thing. So I think, it's going to be interesting because people forget quickly, I think, but I mean, the lacrosse ball that I used to warm up on, I'm wiping that down with bleach. It's like literally all the little things that you kind of don't think about. It's like, man, the PVC pipe has to be wiped down, the lacrosse ball, the foam roller, the pull-up bar that I jumped on, like all these things before you even, especially when you're old like us, right? All these things we have to do to warm up, then you got to go wipe it down before you even start your workout.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Kelly, I'm getting a text message from my producer telling me it's 12 o'clock out where you are. It looks like you're falling asleep on us.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. But do you hear Jeb and Jen and are like, why are we open? How come situation here is a little different and people are opening? And
I think because you guys were shut down a bit before us. How long?
We've been in March 16th for me.
Yeah.
So is that about 9 weeks? Maybe
March,
that's
so April is 1, May. So we're going on. Yeah, we're going on close to 9 weeks, maybe more.
No, it's a real difficult one because exactly like when Jen and Jeb were talking about it, I was like, okay, so Jeb, when you said you marked an X on the floor, did you give them a special pull-up bar? Yeah.
Well, like, so we didn't do anything pull-up wise or on pull-up bar for the first few days. And then I programmed toes to bar, and I said, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to turn and face the rig and pick the pull-up bar that's closest to you that works, because obviously some are high and some are low. Yeah. And if you feel comfortable doing toes to bar outside of your square, go to a pull-up bar now, and that's your pull-up bar for the hour. If you don't feel comfortable, then you're doing V-ups instead of toes to bar.
Yeah,
so that's what we did.
And then I guess like stuff like chalk and that. Did people take their own chalk in?
Yeah, I've had people so people have been bringing their own chalk in a little baggie because I have no chalk. We use sidewalk chalk to mark down rounds, none of that, no lacrosse balls. Foam rollers, we let those out. But every station has a machine, PVC pipe, a red band, and their own box of like shop towels and a cleaning bottle for spray. And that stays in their square, and then we just have big garbage cans set out. So after they're done cleaning, they don't have to push it in or lift anything, just toss it in.
Yeah, the
Jeff,
chalk.
did you have them-
I'm sorry, Jed.
Did you make them sign a waiver?
No, I did not.
No. Did you think
Yeah,
about it?
that's
I did think about it because I heard there was bars downtown that were making people sign a waiver before they came in to hang out. But
we were
didn't.
recommended to do that. I actually have somebody putting that paperwork together for us
Yeah.
that just says that, hey, kind of like if you get on a ride and, at the amusement park, hey, you take some sort of risk of some
Yeah.
sort. But we were thinking about the chalk too, like just selling it at cost so that they can put it in a, in a basket or something that they
People
can
just
take with
put it
them.
in like a little Ziploc baggie. A lot
Yeah.
of people buy like a full block and then they break
Right.
it in half, share it with someone. So
Yeah, for sure.
no,
Cal, what's
we also shut down our no water filler. We have a
Right.
bottle filler, so we cut that off. And then the bathrooms, they're open at your own risk, basically.
Right.
Just they're there if you need them. But I know there's a lot of people that are making a point to go to the bathroom before they come in, and then.
Yeah, you try to mitigate that as best as possible. I think also too, like we're getting some more information from the CDC that's even saying that the chances of you catching something that someone touched maybe is not as likely as they thought originally. So there's
Right.
still a lot of information coming around. I mean, other than that, Kel, what is your plan? You making a run at it next year again? Or
Yeah, so I'll be 44 next year.
Stay there.
But my birthday falls August, which is a real pain. So I'm always going to be like a year into my 45, if that makes sense, nearly
Right.
46 before I'm 40. So I was thinking of taking a year off next year. That was before, obviously, all the COVID and everything. As now I'm like, I can't just leave it. I've got to give it another shot.
yeah,
So-
that's great. Jen, we didn't get a chance to touch on it so much, but you mentioned it before. You're like, who is this girl? That just, came into your division when she first kind of popped in on the scene. I mean, you want to talk about any cat fights? Maybe, did you want to, did you want to
boys
trip
want a
her in
cat
the
fight so bad,
corral?
it's ridiculous.
I mean, were you thinking of, like tying the shoelaces to the railing in the corral?
I
I
guess
might,
because
especially when she ages up.
you never had any UKs in your, even in the 35, did you? Were you in the 35, Jen, or just the 14?
Oh, 35 didn't exist when I was 35.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
so it didn't even exist until I was in the mid 40 range, I think already, is
okay.
when they opened up 35s. So, it's not even real masters at 35.
Juniors.
But I'm sorry, what was the question though about 35?
It wasn't really a question, but it was more of a point. Like, did Kelly kind of just like bounce on the scene that you didn't even? I mean,
Yeah.
we all see the names. For me personally, I would see Jeb Simmons and Bob and Clint even before I knew these guys. But like you said, she was a name you didn't really like. Who is this girl? And all of a sudden, she
Right.
takes second back-to-back years.
And you didn't get second in the qualifier. You placed better at the games than you did at the qualifier your first year, didn't you?
Yes.
Or am I remembering wrong? Yeah.
Yeah.
How
I
did you
think
do in the?
I was like 7th in the qualifier.
Yeah. So not only did I not know her already, but she was middle of the pack in the qualifier and then kicked our asses at the games. So it was like a double whammy.
Happens.
A double whammy.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we've been on for a little over an hour, and usually we get the cane to cut it off. Kel, thank you for coming on. I mean, hopefully,
Bob, did you talk her into coming to Legends or?
He
Oh
is.
yeah,
Yeah, she's in, man.
Nice.
She's in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, nice. So we'll
Assuming
see
we
you
can
there.
travel by then.
Yeah.
Clint's on the fence still. He doesn't know. He's balancing out between that and Masters Fitness Collective. You know,
I want to see
says
who plays
there's
better.
they got a
Well,
lot of
you got-
momentum. There's a lot of
Will you guys
momentum
be
over
able
there.
to travel then, though, in August?
Yeah, I mean, we can travel in the States already. I know
Oh.
there's certain amount of states that we can go to. I mean, I know an athlete that just traveled to Arizona because they go to school out there because they opened up. I mean, Arizona's pretty much, I don't think they ever needed even to close, quite frankly. And actually, Bob is doing the event in Arizona, so
Yeah.
that's a place that's pretty much good to go. But thanks for coming on, and hopefully, things like this and events like Bob's and all the other events out there. We'll give a shout out to the Masters Fitness Collective and the Masters movement. I know as far as I'm concerned, anything Masters is great for, our platform and hopefully, things like this, give us more exposure.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure speaking to you all.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
See you, Kelly.
All right, later.
We want to work out for this week or no?
What? Misfit told me they were going to send me one, so I can have it by tomorrow.
Cool. All right. Awesome.
All right.
All
All
right.
right. You
All
wanna-
right.
and Kelly, follow us. You can be our 6th fan. Okay. And you could follow the workout and do the workout. We post them on there and we have banter and we talk shit on whether or not your reps were good or not. Our official judge is not here today, Mike Kern, but he will watch your video and critique it to the highest level. I'm gonna stop this recording, guys, and we'll see you next Monday. Oh, Bob, who do we have next week? Is that the week we're doing the non-master, the guys that haven't made it?
Yeah, I gotta pull it up, man. It
All right,
is.
take a look and let us know.
Yeah. So next week is Jeremiah Head and Carol Music. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, great. All right,
Good.
guys.
Good.
All right.
See you later.
Bye, Kelly.
Bye.
Keep it real. Later, Clint.